Imagine a city that considered itself untouchable, an imposing metropolis surrounded by colossal walls and filled with unimaginable riches. Nineveh, the capital of the most feared empire of its time, thrived in excess, corruption, and oppression. Its kings saw themselves as gods. Its priests offered sacrifices to stone idols, and its armies crushed entire nations without mercy. But then came the warning. Nahum, a prophet unknown to many, appeared in the streets of Nineveh proclaiming words that few would dare to speak. His voice cut through the air like a blade. The city will fall, its gold will be plundered, its strongholds will collapse. God's judgment is near. But who would believe such a thing? Nineveh was impenetrable. It was eternal, or at least that's what its inhabitants thought. However, something began to change. Strange signs appeared. The river that gave life to the city started to rebel. The sky darkened, disturbing dreams haunted the king, and then came the hidden truth, a secret buried beneath Nineveh's foundations, a sin so ancient and deep that even its rulers dared not speak of it. What lay behind Nahum's prophecy? How was the most powerful city on earth reduced to ruins? And what lesson does this event hold for us today? Join us as we explore how the prophecy of Nahum became a symbol of divine justice, revealing the fate of Nineveh and God's sovereignty over the nations. In the vastness of ancient Mesopotamia, where the winds swept over the hills and the Tigris and Euphrates rivers meandered like the earth's pulsing veins, Nahum was born, a man whose name meant consolation, yet whose life would be marked by pain and the weight of a dark secret. From an early age, his presence seemed to carry a silent mystery, as if the very land knew he was destined for something greater than his own understanding. He was the son of Eliab, a righteous man feared for his knowledge of the scriptures, and Miriam, a woman of kind soul whose gaze carried a hidden sorrow. His people, the Israelites, lived under the oppression of pagan kingdoms, but also feared the wrath of God himself, who had sent prophets time and again to warn them of their sins. The history of the people was filled with cycles of obedience and rebellion, blessings and punishments, and Nahum grew up hearing tales of glorious times and periods of suffering. From an early age, his father's words sounded like omens. Eliab spoke with reverence and fear about those chosen by God to carry his message. He knew that the divine calling was never a light burden. Son, the word of the Lord weighs heavily upon those who bear it. If he ever calls you, obey, even if it hurts. Young Nahum did not fully understand the meaning of these words, but something in them always sent chills down his spine. Still a child, he began to excel as a scribe, transcribing sacred texts for elders and religious leaders. His fingers knew well the weight of the scrolls, and his hands became swift in shaping each word with precision. Yet, despite his skill and the respect he earned, there was a restlessness within him that he could not explain. Something burned in his chest, a silent fire that could not be extinguished. Years passed, and the name of Nineveh began to resurface in hushed conversations among the elders. The grand city, once spared by God's mercy, had returned to its wickedness. Gold flowed through its palaces, but so did blood. Its kings indulged in lust and power. Its priests offered human sacrifices in dark temples, and the righteous were persecuted. The people who had once repented now laughed at divine kindness, mocking the warnings of ancient prophets. Then came the whispers. At first, Nahum thought they were merely echoes of the wind or fragments of meaningless dreams. But night after night, they grew more intense. Words in languages he did not know resonated in his ears as he slept. Soon the words became images. He saw Nineveh engulfed in flames, its towers collapsing, the screams of its inhabitants echoing in the darkened sky. He saw rivers of blood snaking through the stone streets. He saw children weeping. He saw the despair of a doomed city. In the final vision, it was not just images. A voice, deep and undeniable, shattered the silence of his soul. "Rise, Nahum, cry out against this city, for its end is sealed." He awoke with a start, drenched in cold sweat. His heart pounded in his chest, his hands trembled. He tried to speak, but no words came out. The room around him seemed transformed, as if it still carried the remnants of that overwhelming presence. Something inside him had changed forever. What did these visions mean? Could he ignore them? Would he have the courage to proclaim what had been revealed to him? Nahum did not sleep that night. After the vision, his body remained restless, as if the very ground beneath his feet had become unstable. He knew he could not ignore the call. What he had seen was not a product of his imagination. The voice he had heard was no mere delirium. It was a decree. At dawn he rose, dressed in his simplest tunic, and set out. His feet moved by instinct, for his heart still hesitated. How could a mere scribe stand against such a powerful city? Nineveh was feared throughout the region. Its kings considered themselves gods, and its armies swept away entire nations. But Nahum remembered his father's words. If God called, the only acceptable response was obedience. Passing through the city's gates, he felt the overwhelming grandeur of Nineveh. Its colossal walls stood like the bones of a fallen titan. Its wide streets teemed with merchants, soldiers, and citizens intoxicated by the pleasures of the day. The air was heavy with the scent of burning incense in the temples, mixed with the aroma of roasted meat from the endless feasts. He advanced to the central square, where street preachers and performers gathered to entertain the crowd. Taking a deep breath, he summoned his courage and began to speak. "Nineveh, city of wickedness and blood, the Lord God has seen your deeds, and your evil has risen to the heavens. Repent, for great is your guilt. The judgment of God will come upon you like fire, and none shall escape." At first, no one paid him any attention. Passers-by hurried along, absorbed in their daily routines. A group of young men laughed, mocking his firm voice and dust-covered garments. A drunken man threw a piece of stale bread at Nahum's feet. "Another lunatic. How many more prophets will come to curse us?" A fat merchant laughed. "They say that once a man named Jonah preached repentance to us, and look, we're still here. Nineveh will never fall," added an old priest, spitting on the ground. But Nahum was undeterred. His chest burned with an uncontrollable zeal. He raised his voice, denouncing the profane temples, the corrupt judges, and the sacrifices of the innocent on the altars of idols. The tone of his preaching soon caught attention. Some people stopped to listen, their faces marked by doubt. Word spread quickly. Soon, whispers of the new prophet reached the ears of the nobles, the priests, and finally, the king of Nineveh himself. The monarch, a man with a stern gaze and a well-groomed beard, listened to his counselor's report while feasting in his golden chamber. "Your Majesty, there is a man in the market, a Hebrew, named Nahum. He cries out against the city. He says his God will bring destruction upon Nineveh." The king raised an eyebrow, uninterested. How many like him have come before? How many have cursed our walls and sworn our downfall? This one is different, my lord. He does not ask for gold. He does not ask for food. He speaks with the conviction of a man who has already seen the end. And there is something else. The king lifted his eyes, now paying attention. What? The counselor hesitated before continuing. Your Majesty, a long time ago, when I was still a child, I remember a dream that my grandfather, the royal priest, interpreted for your family. He said that one day a man in humble garments would arise, and his voice would echo like thunder before the fall of the city. The king fell silent. A discomfort grew within him, a fragment of memory long forgotten, now resurfaced. Order my guards to watch this prophet, he said finally. I want to know everything about him. If he brings only confusion, eliminate him. But if it is something more... The king did not finish his sentence. He leaned back on his throne, staring into the void, while Nahum's words began to echo in his mind. In the square, under the watchful eyes of hidden guards, Nahum continued to preach, but he did not yet know that soon he would be summoned before the most powerful man in Nineveh. The moon was rising on the horizon when Nahum was dragged into a narrow alley, his sandals scraping against the cold stones. The impact against the wall knocked the breath out of him for a moment, but he remained firm. In front of him, a hooded figure loomed in the shadows, eyes sharp, hand resting on the hilt of a dagger. You should flee while you still can, prophet. The voice was deep but not hostile. Nahum dusted off his tunic and lifted his gaze, meeting the strangers, eyes with calm determination. Flee! Those who flee are the ones who fear the truth. The man hesitated. For a moment, he seemed to consider whether he should stay or vanish into the shadows. You don't understand. Nineveh is not just a corrupt city. It is not just powerful. There is something alive in its foundations, something that should never be disturbed. Nahum did not look away. That statement had piqued his interest. And you? He asked calmly. If you know this, why are you here? Why do you care? The stranger took a deep breath and then pulled back his hood, revealing a young face marked by unease. My name is Malik, he said, watching the prophet with a mix of fear and curiosity. I serve in the king's temple as a scribe. I know the city's records, I know its laws, and I know that somewhere there are buried secrets that no one dares to mention. Nahum crossed his arms. Then you already know Nineveh's fate, Malik. Averted his eyes as if trying to avoid that truth. I have heard stories about ancient kings who made pacts, about temples built upon the bones of the innocent. There are caves beneath the palace, passages no one dares to explore, records that were erased from the clay tablets as if they had never existed. Nahum took a step forward, his voice carrying a prophetic weight. And have you never wondered, what exactly lies buried beneath this city? A chill ran down Malik's spine. Everything he had learned since childhood told him that Nineveh was indestructible, an empire built to last for all eternity. But something inside him, an instinct he could not ignore, screamed that Nahum was telling the truth. If you know something, Malik, now is the time to speak. The scribe hesitated. He stood at the edge of an invisible abyss. Until now, his suspicions had only been shadows, fragments of ancient rumors. But if he decided to seek the truth, there would be no turning back. The silence between them was suddenly interrupted by a distant scream. Malik immediately turned, his heart pounding. What was that? Nahum remained still, watching him intently. Another scream echoed, this time closer, rising from the depths of the city. Malik held his breath. He had never heard a sound like that before. It was not a battle cry, nor the wail of a prisoner. It was something deeper, something that carried an ancient anguish, as if something had been waiting a long time to be set free. Something was awakening beneath Nineveh. Before we continue, we ask for your support. Subscribe to the channel and leave a like on the video to bless us and help spread these Bible stories. Now let's continue with the prophecy of Nahum. Malik walked through the streets of Nineveh, his mind in turmoil. Nahum's warning still echoed in his thoughts, and that strange scream from the previous night would not leave his head. Something was wrong. Something was about to change. The scribe made his way to the oldest part of the city, where an elder named Harith lived. He was one of the last righteous men in Nineveh, a survivor of purer times, who had distanced himself from the corruption that had consumed the people. It was said that in his youth, he had served in the king's temple, but had abandoned his position after discovering truths too dark to be ignored. Upon reaching Harith's humble dwelling, Malik knocked on the worn wooden door. "Come in, my son." The elder's voice was weak but firm. Malik obeyed and found himself before a man bent by time, with a long beard and eyes that seemed to see beyond flesh. The room was simple, with scrolls scattered across a rough table and a flickering lamp casting dancing shadows on the walls. "I knew you would come," Harith said without looking at him. Malik hesitated. "You knew?" The elder slowly nodded. "Darkness is moving, Malik. Nahum's warning was not the first, and I fear it will not be the last. But there is something you must understand before taking the next step." Malik shivered. "What is it?" Harith struggled to his feet and walked to an ancient chest. With trembling hands, he opened it and retrieved a scroll wrapped in red cloth. The temple priests hide records that the king has forbidden to be read. These are ancient accounts, older than Nineveh itself, revealing the truth of its foundation. Malik took the scroll, feeling the weight of the secret it carried. "What do they say?" Harith met his gaze, his eyes filled with deep sorrow. That Nineveh was not built by men alone, but by something far older, something that demanded a terrible price to grant the king the empire he desired. Malik's heart pounded. "What price?" Harith took a deep breath before answering. "Innocent blood." A heavy silence fell upon the room. Malik felt his legs weaken. "That means—" "Yes," Harith said. "The city's foundations were sealed with sacrifices. What lies buried beneath us is still alive, Malik, and it is waiting." The scribe ran a hand over his face. He felt his own fate shifting before him. If Harith's words were true, then Nineveh was doomed in a way no one could have imagined. The old man gripped his shoulder with surprising strength. "If you seek the truth, you must go to the temple. There are more records hidden beneath the main altar. But be careful, Malik. The priests will not allow a man like you to uncover what they have spent centuries trying to bury." Malik took a deep breath, feeling the tension rise in his chest. He stood before an impossible choice: ignore what he had discovered and live in safety or risk, exposing a secret that could seal his fate. Outside, the wind howled through the empty streets, and then, in the distance, another scream tore through. The night, deep, inhuman, coming from the very heart of Nineveh's temple. Restlessness grew in Nineveh like a storm about to break upon the city. Nahum's words, once ignored or ridiculed, began to find shelter in the hearts of the fearful. Some citizens whispered about the ancient warnings of the prophets, while others mocked them, indulging even more in corruption and luxury. But not everyone remained indifferent. In the grand royal palace, a man listened intently to the rumors, his fury barely contained. The king of Nineveh, seated on his ebony and gold throne, the monarch's fingers drummed impatiently against the sculpted armrest of his chair. Before him, priests and advisors cowered, fearing the wrath that gathered like thunder about to roar. "Who is this man who speaks against great Nineveh?" The king's voice boomed through the royal chamber. "His name is Nahum, Majesty," a priest responded, his head bowed in submission. "He claims our city will be destroyed by the wrath of his God." "And the people, are they listening?" The advisors hesitated. Then one of the royal generals stepped forward. "Some still laugh at him, but there are those who are beginning to fear, and he is not alone, my king. There is a scribe named Malik who asks too many questions, and the old Harith who has always murmured about ancient times. Both seem to be tied to this threat." The king's eyes narrowed. "Then we will put an end to this now. I order Nahum to be captured immediately, and as for the other two, kill them before dawn." As the guards swept through the city in search of their prey, Malik and Harith sat in the elder's house whispering urgently. "They will come for us," Malik said, his voice low and tense. "The king cannot allow doubt to spread among his people." Harith sighed, running a trembling hand through his gray beard. "I always knew this day would come, but now there is no time for hesitation. We must leave." Before they could move, a noise outside made them freeze. The metallic sound of spears clashing against armor, heavy footsteps echoing over the beaten earth. "By the heavens," Malik murmured, "they're already here." There was no exit through the back. The streets were watched. The only path led into the night under the watchful eyes of the king's men. Harith looked at Malik and gripped his shoulder. "Listen to me, boy. There is something greater at stake here. You must survive. You must find the answers." "But where can we go?" The old man took a deep breath and whispered, "To the temple." Malik hesitated. That place was the heart of Nineveh's corruption, but it was also the only place where they might find the proof they needed. There was no choice. Suddenly, the crash of the door being broken down echoed through the house. "Run!" They darted through a side passage, vanishing into the darkness of the alleys. The voices of the soldiers pursued them, spears clanking as they ran. Malik's heart pounded in his chest, and then he realized something terrible. They were not just fleeing, they were being hunted. The night enveloped them like a heavy veil as Malik and Harith moved through the narrow alleys of Nineveh. The air was thick, filled with the city's scent, a mixture of smoke, spices, and something rotten lurking in the forgotten corners. Their footsteps were quick but careful. Any noise too loud could draw the unwanted attention of the guards patrolling the streets in search of Nahum and anyone daring to defy the king. Harith remained firm, his eyes sharp, scanning every shadow around them. He knew the city like few. Others, and his calloused hands, had traced these same stone walls in times past when the persecution of the righteous was not yet so fierce. Malik, on the other hand, felt his heart pounding in his chest. He was not a warrior nor a prophet. He was a scribe, a man accustomed to recording history, not living it. Yet here he was, racing against time to uncover a truth buried for generations. The temple loomed ahead, imposing even under the cloak of night. Its massive columns stood like silent sentinels, guarding the secrets the priests so desperately protected. Malik hesitated as he gazed upon the doors, carved with ancient symbols. No one was permitted to enter after sunset, much less to search. Through forbidden records, Harith placed a firm hand on his shoulder. "If there is a time to fear, it is now," the elder whispered. "But if there is a time to act, it is this moment." Taking a deep breath, Malik nodded. They moved to the side of the temple, where a small passage lay hidden among the rocks. It was an entrance known to few, once used by scribes and servants to transport scrolls without disturbing sacred ceremonies. The darkness inside the temple was absolute, but Harith seemed to know exactly where to step. They walked in silence through a narrow corridor, its walls covered in ancient inscriptions. The scent of aged scrolls and extinguished candles filled the air, mingled with the metallic tang of incense still lingering. Malik found an unlit torch in an iron holder and ignited it with the embers of a nearby altar. The flickering light revealed towering shelves filled with scrolls and clay tablets recounting the deeds of kings and their gods. "What exactly are we looking for?" Malik murmured, his eyes scanning the records. Harith did not answer immediately. Instead, he pulled a stone tablet from the shelf and examined it in the dim glow. "Something that proves Nahum speaks the truth," he finally said. "Something that shows Nineveh's doom is not just the delusion of a prophet, but a sentence sealed by its own past sins." They searched the records for long minutes, flipping through papyri, running their fingers over words carefully etched into clay. Most spoke of battles, alliances, promises made and broken. But then, on a hidden shelf at the back of the room, Harith found a scroll sealed with golden wax. A chill ran down Malik's spine at the sight of the royal emblem imprinted in the wax. Only the most critical decrees of the king's lineage were protected in such a way. The elder carefully broke the seal, unrolling the parchment with trembling hands. Their eyes scanned the dark inked lines, and as they read, Malik felt the blood in his veins turn to ice. The document spoke of a heinous crime, a betrayal against an entire people. It revealed that the ancestors of the king had spilled innocent blood to found Nineveh upon forgotten bones. "This is the reason for God's wrath," Harith murmured, his voice heavy with sorrow. "The foundation of this city is a hidden grave." Before they could fully grasp the weight of their discovery, a noise shattered the silence. Urgent footsteps echoed through the stone corridor, followed by the metallic sound of unsheathing swords. Someone had found them. Malik instinctively extinguished the torch, plunging them into total darkness. Harith grabbed his arm, guiding him to a corner of the room as the footsteps drew closer. Voices whispered commands, and the flickering glow of torches began to invade the chamber. Malik held his breath. The scroll was still in his hands, its edges crumpled from his trembling fingers. He knew that if they were captured, there would be no mercy for either of them, and then the door burst open. The cell where Nahum had been thrown was cold and damp, with stone walls that seemed to breathe under the weight of forgotten history. The prophet was chained, yet his spirit remained unshaken. He felt the oppression of the place, the stench of death ingrained in the walls, but his lips never ceased proclaiming the truth. Shadows danced in the dim torchlight illuminating the palace corridors, and each of his words echoed like thunder in the ears of the guards watching over his imprisonment. "Nineveh will fall," he cried, "like leaves carried by the wind. Your riches will scatter, your walls will be torn down, your rivers will turn against you. The very God has declared your end, and nothing can stop what is to come." The guards exchanged uneasy glances. They had witnessed many prisoners mumbling in despair, but this man spoke with terrifying certainty. Even in chains, he seemed to be the only one there who was truly free. In the royal hall, the king paced back and forth. The weight of his crown seemed to press down upon his head, making his thoughts heavy as lead. Nahum was just a man, a wandering prophet, and yet his words would not leave the monarch's mind. He tried to ignore them, but something inside him burned, a restlessness that grew night after night, and then came the nightmares. In the depths of his sleep, the king saw himself standing before a city in flames. The air was filled with screams, with a desperate wailing that echoed like a funeral dirge. The streets of Nineveh crumbled under a violent tremor, and the waters of the Tigris River rose like living walls, swallowing everything in their path. The sky was black, torn by red lightning like blood. Amid the destruction, he saw a shadow emerge, a man in simple garments, but whose gaze burned like fire. "The city has been judged," the figure said, "and the sentence has been sealed." The king awoke in a sweat, his heart pounding in his chest. For days, he tried to push the images away, refusing to accept that they were anything more than the delusions of an exhausted mind. But the nightmares returned every night, more vivid, more real. In desperation, he summoned his priests. They arrived in haste, their heavy robes dragging across the palace's marble floor. The eldest among them stepped forward, bowing before the throne. "Majesty, your distress troubles us. What do you wish of us?" The king ran his trembling hands over his face before meeting their gaze. "My dreams, they will not cease," he admitted, his voice laden with weariness. "I want you to interpret their meaning." The priests exchanged discreet glances. The king was not a man who often displayed weakness. If he was disturbed enough to seek help, then the root of his torment must have been deep. The eldest priest bowed his head and responded cautiously, "We must know, Majesty. In your dreams, is there any sign of the gods? Any vision we may decipher?" The king hesitated for a moment before speaking. "There is a man," he murmured, "man who speaks in the name of a God who is not ours. He proclaims the destruction of Nineveh, and then I see the city fall. I see fire and waters devouring everything. I see ruin." The hall fell into silence. None of the priests dared to speak immediately. They knew well the legends, the ancient records hidden in the temple's recesses. The king was never meant to know the truth buried within the very foundations of his city. At last, one of the younger priests cleared his throat and leaned forward. "Majesty, dreams are merely echoes of the mind," he said, forcing a reassuring tone. "There is no reason for distress. Nineveh is strong, its glory is eternal." But the words did not convince the king. Something inside him told him these were not just dreams. That night, instead of resting, he ordered a select group of men to watch over Nahum in his cell. He wanted to hear every word that left the prophet's mouth. Little did he know that elsewhere in the city, Malik and Harith were about to reveal a secret that would change everything. And so, the truth hidden for generations was about to come to light. The alleys of Nineveh were labyrinths of shadows and whispers, where ancient secrets slept beneath the weight of stones worn by time. Malik and Harith moved cautiously, their eyes scanning every corner, alert to any suspicious movement. Since their escape from the temple, they knew they were being hunted. The king would not allow those records to come to light. Guided by a name found among the ancient documents, they arrived at a forgotten district of the city where the buildings were fragile and the silence felt heavier than the air. Harith glanced around, uncertain. "Are you sure this is the place?" he whispered. Malik nodded, knocking softly on the door of a house made of wood and stone. It took a few moments, but a weary voice came from the other side. "Who is it?" "We seek answers," Malik replied, trying to contain his anxiety. "Answers about what happened long ago." The door creaked as it opened slightly, revealing an elderly woman, her face marked by wrinkles that told stories of pain and resilience. Her eyes, however, still held the gleam of someone who knew more than they let on. "Come in," she said, watching them closely before closing the door behind them. The house's interior was modest, with few furnishings and an unlit fireplace. Harith looked around uneasily while Malik gathered the courage to speak. "We found records in the temple," he began. "Ancient documents that speak of a crime committed by the king's ancestors. We want to know the truth." The woman took a deep breath and sat down, her fingers intertwined in her lap. "You are fools for coming here with such questions," she murmured. "But perhaps it is time for the truth to be told." She leaned forward, her voice now a thread of lament. Many years ago, when Nineveh was not yet so powerful, there was a royal lineage different from the one that rules today. The old king ruled with justice, but his rivals feared him. He was betrayed by his own men, and his family was massacred. Only a child survived. Hidden among the servants, Harith felt a chill run down his spine. "That child was you?" The woman nodded slowly. "I grew up in silence, listening to the whispers of the elders. I knew my blood was cursed by the new king. My name was erased, my story buried, but I never forgot." Malik's heart pounded in his chest. Everything made sense now. The current king ruled upon a throne of blood, usurping a right that was not his. The city's rightful lineage had been erased, and the atrocities committed to securing this rule were buried alongside the documents that had nearly cost them their lives. Harith ran his hands over his face, feeling the weight of the revelation. "If this story is told, if the people find out, the rain will fall," the woman completed. Malik stood up, taking a deep breath. Now that the truth was before them, they had to decide what to do. If they revealed this secret, Nineveh would collapse and their lives would be at risk. But if they remained silent, they would be complicit in the lie that upheld a reign of darkness. Then they heard a noise outside, heavy footsteps, muffled voices. Someone had followed them. The decision had to be made now, or they might never have another chance. The silence inside the house was shattered by the sound of boots crushing the gravel outside. A shiver ran down Malik's spine, and Harith, his face tense, placed a hand on the hilt of the dagger strapped to his belt. The woman who had sheltered them closed her eyes, her expression filled with resignation. "They found us," she murmured, her voice trembling. Malik cautiously stepped toward the window and peeked through a crack in the weathered wood. In the narrow alley leading to the house, armed shadows moved silently, surrounding the building, like wolves hunting their prey. Their hearts pounded in their chests. There was nowhere to run. Harith gripped Malik's shoulder tightly. "We must decide now. Either we escape and try to reveal the truth, or we fall here, burying everything with us." Malik swallowed hard. Harith's words were harsh but true. They held in their hands something that could shake the foundations of the kingdom, and the king knew it. The silence was suddenly broken by the crash of the door, splintering apart. Wood shattered in all directions as soldiers stormed into the room, swords drawn and eyes cold. The woman shrank against the wall, her face pale with fear. "By decree of the king, you are under arrest for treason," one of the guards bellowed, his voice echoing like thunder. Malik tried to react, but strong hands seized him, slamming him to the ground. Harith, more experienced, fought fiercely, taking down 2 soldiers before a brutal strike to the back of his head sent him collapsing, motionless. Malik spat blood as he was restrained, his face pressed against the rough wooden planks. The soldiers hauled him up forcefully, dragging him outside. His mind swirled with despair. Had they failed? Would everything end here before they could reveal the truth? Then Malik saw a figure standing among the soldiers. A jolt of shock coursed through him like a frozen blade. "You," he whispered, his voice barely audible. The man before him was someone he never expected to see, standing with his enemies. A friend, an ally. Malik's heart clenched as the meaning of the betrayal dawned on him. The traitor stepped forward, his gaze unreadable, but Malik noticed a flicker of hesitation. "Forgive me, Malik, but the truth must die with you." Malik tried to struggle, but the bindings held him firm. The traitor drew his blade, pressing it against Malik's throat. The cold steel against his skin was the last thing he felt before darkness consumed him. Pain was the first thing Malik felt as he regained consciousness, a dull, pounding ache in his head, as if it were about to explode. The scent of rust and dampness filled his nostrils, mingling with the stench of sweat and dried blood. He blinked, trying to make sense of where he was, but all around him was darkness and cold stone. He tried to move, but his arms were restrained. Iron chains bit into his wrists, and he felt the warmth of blood trickling down his torn skin. The memory struck him like a blow. The escape, the attack, the traitor, Harith. His heart pounded. He had to find him. With difficulty, he dragged himself across the rough floor of the cell, his muscles screaming in protest. His entire body ached, as if he had been mercilessly beaten before being thrown there. Then he saw him. Harith lay in the corner of the cell, his tunic stained with dust and blood. His posture was unnatural, his arms sprawled to the sides, his head slumped. Malik crawled toward him, ignoring the pain and his wounds. "Harith," he called, his voice hoarse, barely audible. No response, only the oppressive silence of the prison. He touched the elder's shoulder, feeling the cold skin beneath his fingers. His chest was still. No breath, no movement. Harith was dead. The weight of the truth struck Malik like a blow to the stomach. Harith, the last righteous man of Nineveh, the only one who still carried the true faith in that corrupted city. Now he was gone, and Malik was alone. A bitter taste rose in his throat. He closed his eyes for a moment, fighting against the despair. Then footsteps echoed down the stone corridor. The iron door groaned as it opened, and the light from the torches flooded the cell, making Malik squint. 2 guards entered, armed, their expressions unreadable, and behind them, draped in richly adorned robes, stood the king of Nineveh. The monarch gazed down at Malik as if assessing an animal about to be slaughtered. "You and that old man brought chaos to my city," he said, his voice deep and cold. "But now only you remain." Malik felt fury burning within him, but he forced himself to stay calm. "We did not bring the chaos. he replied with effort. "It was already here." The king frowned, his dark eyes glinting with a mix of curiosity and irritation. "Tell me, what do you and Nahum know?" Silence filled the air. Malik knew that a single wrong word could seal his fate even faster. He clenched his fists, feeling the metal of the chains biting deeper into his skin. Before the king could press further, a deafening sound echoed in the distance. The ground trembled beneath them, as if something was awakening from the depths of the earth. The guards exchanged uneasy glances. The king remained firm, but Malik noticed the tension in his shoulders. Another rumble sounded, but this time it did not come from the skies. It came from the ground. "What is happening?" one of the guards murmured, his voice unsteady. Malik lifted his gaze to the king. Despite his pain and exhaustion, a chill ran down his spine. He knew what this meant. "These are the signs," he murmured. "The judgment of Nineveh has begun." The king opened his mouth to respond, but another tremor made the walls shake. This time nothing could stop what was coming. The air in Nineveh grew heavy, filled with a putrid stench that spread through the streets and alleys. The first signs of the plague appeared at dawn. Healthy men awoke covered in black sores, their skin burning as if aflame from within. Children cried in agony, their mothers tore at their hair in despair, and the priests, once confident, now trembled before the calamity that had befallen the city. The marketplace, once vibrant and chaotic, was nearly deserted. The few merchants who dared to venture out covered their faces with cloth, but their restless eyes betrayed the truth. There was no safety anywhere. The bodies of the first dead began to pile up, and the poorest, with no other choice, cast them into the river, hoping to ward off the curse. But the waters, once crystal clear, turned murky and thick. Fish floated lifeless on the surface, and the stench of death hung over the shores. In the palace, the king marched furiously through the corridors, fists clenched, his tunic soaked in sweat. Fear was a silent enemy, gnawing at his certainties. The rumbling beneath the city, the trembling of the walls, and now this merciless plague. Were these divine punishments? He refused to believe it. It could not be. The gods of Nineveh had always demanded sacrifices, and the people had always given them. If something was wrong, then more offerings were needed. Gathering his priests, he ordered the temple altar to be bathed in blood. Oxen were slaughtered at the feet of the statues, the scent of incense mixing with the warmth of fresh blood as it flowed down the sacred stairs. "We offer what we have most pure." And one of the priests cried out, raising his hands to the heavens, "Accept our tribute, O great gods, and turn your wrath away from Nineveh." But nothing happened. The plague advanced, relentless, and then came the thunder. The sky, once clear, darkened as if night had fallen too soon. Black clouds swirled over the city, blotting out the sun and turning day into shadow. The wind howled like an invisible army, toppling market stalls and tearing tiles from rooftops. The priests, who had once stood proudly atop the stairs, now lay prostrate on the ground, murmuring desperate prayers. The king, however, could not bow. He gritted his teeth, turned to his generals and declared, "If the gods demand more, we shall give them more." And then the order was given. Prisoners were dragged from the dungeons, men, women, children, those accused of theft, condemned for treason, even those who had simply displeased the powerful. Among them was Malik, brutally shoved out of his cell. He was dragged to the temple, where a crowd had gathered, eyes wide with horror. The sacrificial altar was ready, and the priests were already sharpening their ritual blades. The king raised his hand, silencing the crowd. Today, we offer the gods what is most precious. Today, we eradicate the evil that corrupts our city. His gaze locked onto Malik, and a dark smile curved his lips. And we begin with this one. Silence fell over the temple. Malik felt the pressure of the chains on his wrists, the roughness of the stone beneath his knees. But when he lifted his head, his eyes held no fear. They held certainty, because he knew what the king refused to admit. The wrath of the heavens could not be appeased with blood, and the end of Nineveh was already written. The cold altar pressed against Malik's knees as his wrists burned under the cruel grip of the chains. The sound of the priest's chants echoed through the temple, each verse rising like a spell to suffocate any hope of salvation. The king watched from above, his eyes blazing like embers, but Malik did not bow. One of the priests approached, holding a curved blade dagger. The metal gleamed under the torchlight, ready to cut through flesh and spill the blood that, according to them, would appease the gods. But before the blade could descend, the king raised a hand, halting the ritual. He still has something to say. Silence fell over the temple. Malik lifted his head, his breath ragged. "Tell me, prisoner." The king's voice rang out, firm but tinged with something deeper. "You and your friend were digging in the darkest corners of my city. You sought answers to questions that should never have been asked. Now, facing death, what do you have to tell me?" The crowd held its breath. The scent of blood and incense hung in the air. Malik ran his tongue over his dry lips and stared at the king without blinking. "We found what you fear." His voice was firm but low, forcing everyone to listen closely. "The crimes of your ancestors have not been forgotten. They lie beneath this city, buried alongside the screams of those who were once slaughtered." The king remained motionless. No words, no sign of surprise or indignation. Only a tense, suffocating silence. "You speak of sacrifices to appease the gods, but you forget that your bloodline has been cursed ever since your own kin was betrayed and slain. Nineveh is doomed not because of us, but because of what you have done." The priests exchanged uneasy glances. Murmurs spread through the crowd. The king then stepped forward, descending the altar's steps with slow, deliberate strides, like a predator stalking its prey. "Lies." His voice was low, almost a whisper, but heavy with restrained fury. Malik met his gaze, and for the first time he saw something different in the ruler's eyes. It wasn't just anger, it was fear. "You know it's true," Malik continued. "Your dreams are haunted because the souls of those who were silenced cry out for justice. The plague, the omens, the skies turning against you. All of this is not a punishment from the gods. It is the voice of truth, breaking through the earth where you tried to bury it." The king clenched his fists. Silence, but Malik did not stop. "You can kill as many as you want. You can sacrifice the innocent and try to drown the past in blood. But the truth always finds a way." The priests exchanged uncertain glances. The crowd stirred, their fear becoming palpable. The king sensed the danger and turned to the people, his face regaining its mask of authority. "This man is a liar," his voice thundered, "a traitor who seeks to sow chaos among us," but the trembling in his hands betrayed the terror consuming him from within. Malik had no need to say anything. More, the king was already condemned by his own conscience. The piercing wind roared through the walls of Nineveh, carrying with it dust, embers, and laments. The sky, once blue and imposing, was now a curtain of darkness and smoke, filled with lightning that illuminated the condemned city. Thunder rumbled, as if the heavens themselves were alive, enraged. Elijah, imprisoned in the temple, felt the stones vibrate beneath his feet. He closed his eyes for a moment, feeling the weight of destiny upon his shoulders. The priests, once imposing in their golden robes, now crawled before the altars, murmuring desperate prayers. The temple, once a symbol of power and glory, was now nothing more than a tomb, waiting to be sealed by divine wrath. Outside, the city writhed in chaos. Fires consumed the palaces, houses collapsed under the weight of an inevitable fate. The plazas echoed with the screams of the afflicted, running back and forth, carrying their children, their belongings, their hope reduced to ashes. At the top of the palace, King Joachim watched everything, his face pale, his eyes wide with horror. His hands trembled on the parapet, unable to grasp anything but fear. His advisors, those who once flattered him and called him the chosen of the gods, were now on their knees begging for mercy. "This is punishment," one of them murmured. "No, this is just a storm, a crisis that will pass." Joachim roared, but his voice was choked. Deep down, he knew. The judgment had arrived. The voice of Jonah echoed in his mind, like the city's own destruction whispering in his ears. "The city will bleed, for its poison has consumed the land. Its gold will be plundered, its people will suffer, and the power of kings will be as chaff in the wind." The walls, once thought to be invincible, trembled. Small cracks began to spread, as if the very foundation of the city was giving way under the weight of its sins. The ground shook violently. Elijah heard the distant crash of collapsing towers. Inside the temple, the guards tried to flee, knocking everything aside in their panic. Their swords fell to the ground, useless against the impending collapse. Elijah, still chained, pulled at his restraints, feeling the skin on his wrists tear. His heart pounded. The columns groaned as if crying out in agony. Outside, the people began turning against the palace. The hatred once silenced by oppression now burned like fire. "The king has betrayed us. He has brought this disaster upon us." A man shouted, his voice spreading among the rioters. "The blood of the innocent cries out for vengeance," another bellowed. The turmoil grew. The palace gates were surrounded by furious citizens, pressing against each other. Some held torches, others wielded work tools, makeshift spears, anything that could be used to bring down the royal doors. Inside the fortress, Joachim staggered, unable to believe what he was witnessing. He turned to his advisors seeking answers, but their faces were dark, empty. A deafening thunderclap tore through the heavens, followed by a bolt of lightning that struck one of the towers, reducing it to rubble in a cascade of sparks and dust. With every passing moment, Elijah felt the collapse drawing near. He pulled at the chains with all the strength he had left until the links gave way. The iron fell heavily to the ground, freeing him. His legs were weak, but he forced himself up, staggering toward the door. The temple was crumbling above his head, but he did not look back. He knew that Nineveh's fate was already sealed. The judgment of God was complete. Thunder rumbled like war drums in the darkened skies. The stench of smoke and blood clung to the streets. The once impenetrable walls now lay cracked, torn open like exposed wounds. The enemy army advanced, their banners swaying in the ash-laden wind. Elias stumbled through the wreckage, his lungs burning from the soot-filled air. Behind him, the agonized screams of Nineveh's citizens echoed, mingling with the clash of swords and the crackling of flames devouring the buildings. He felt the weight of fate pressing upon his shoulders. He knew this was the end. The palace, once a symbol of power and dominion, was now nothing more than a mausoleum awaiting the storm of judgment. Inside, Joachim gasped for breath, his eyes wide with terror. He looked around the royal hall, seeing the faces of those who once flattered him. Now they stood motionless, waiting for a miracle that would not come. "Where are my guards? Where is my escort?" he roared, but his voice no longer carried authority, only despair. One of the counselors, a thin man with a wrinkled face, lowered his head. "They fled, my lord." A chill ran down the king's spine. "Cowards! I am the king of Nineveh. I order them to protect their sovereign." But no one moved. The silence that followed was more deafening than the screams outside. The palace doors trembled as the first invaders crashed through the outer gates. The booming sound reverberated through the hall. Joachim stepped back, his eyes locked on the entrance. No, this cannot be. He turned and ran toward the back of the palace, his feet stumbling over the luxurious rugs now stained with dust and ashes. He needed to escape. He needed to find a way out. At the temple, Nahum watched everything from the top of the staircase. His gaze was serene yet resolute. He had prophesied this moment. Now he saw his prophecy fulfilled. Fire licked the golden pillars of the city. The statues of Nineveh's gods cracked and crumbled, their faces reduced to dust. The sky glowed with the light of the flames and lightning. It was a spectacle of divine destruction. Nahum closed his eyes for a moment, then murmured, "The truth will always come to light." Then, without anyone noticing, he vanished into the shadows, leaving behind a city that would never rise again. Joachim reached a secret passage behind the throne and slipped through a narrow corridor. Sweat dripped from his forehead, mixing with the soot. He stumbled but rose again, gasping. If he could reach the underground tunnels, he might still have a chance. But as he pushed open the door leading to freedom, he found a group of men waiting. For him, he froze. Their eyes were cold, devoid of any loyalty. Among them stood his own treasurer, a man he had believed to be a faithful servant. "And where do you think you're going, my lord?" The voice carried a cruel irony. We must flee," Joachim stammered. "We can still rebuild. I am still the king." The treasurer laughed. "King, Nineveh has fallen, Joachim. Your reign is over." Outside, the city was crumbling. The invading army pushed through the palace's last corridors, eliminating any remaining resistance. The king looked around, feeling cornered. "I can reward you. I have gold, land, riches." The treasurer stepped forward, drawing a dagger. "Your gold is worthless now. You betrayed your own city. Now it betrays you." Before Joachim could react, a sharp pain pierced his chest. He gasped, blood bubbling between his lips. His knees buckled as he fell. He heard the temple bells toll for the last time, announcing the end of the city he had once ruled. The walls of Nineveh collapsed. Judgment was complete. Thunder echoed like war drums in the darkened skies. The scent of smoke and blood filled the streets. The once impenetrable walls were now cracked, open like exposed wounds. The enemy army advanced, their banners swaying in the wind, heavy with ashes. The roar of the flames consuming the palaces and temples blended with the screams of those trying to flee. There was no salvation. Nineveh The great city had fallen. Elias stumbled through the debris, his lungs burning with the soot-filled air. Behind him, the agonized cries of the citizens echoed, mixed with the clash of swords and the crackling of flames devouring the buildings. Every step was an effort to survive the chaos. He had seen cities fall before, but never like this. Never. So brutally, so definitively. The fate of this land was sealed. He knew there was nowhere to run, yet he still clung to hope, as if he might find an escape where none existed. The palace, once a symbol of glory and dominion, was now a dying fortress. Inside, Joachim gasped for breath, his eyes wide with terror. Sweat dripped down his forehead as he scanned the royal hall, searching for allies, for support. But no one was there to save him. The nobles and advisors who had once flattered him now stood motionless, paralyzed by fear, waiting for a miracle that would not come. "Where are my guards? Where is my escort?" he bellowed. But his voice no longer carried authority, only desperation. One of the advisors, a thin man with a wrinkled face, lowered his head. "They fled, my lord." A chill ran down the king's spine. It couldn't be. He was still the ruler of Nineveh. How dared they abandon him? He clenched his fists, trying to suppress the rage and fear swelling in his chest. "Cowards! I am the king of Nineveh. I command you to defend your sovereign." But no one moved. The silence that followed was more deafening than any scream outside. Palace doors trembled as the first invaders struck the outer gates. The crash reverberated through the hall. Joachim stepped back, his gaze fixed on the entrance. He knew what was coming. The end was near. He turned and ran toward the back of the palace, his feet stumbling over the luxurious carpets now stained with dust and ash. Each step was a growing desperation. If he could reach the underground tunnels, perhaps he had a chance. Perhaps he could escape, gather forces, take revenge. At the temple, Nahum watched everything from the top of the staircase. His gaze was calm yet firm. He had prophesied this moment. Now he saw his prophecy fulfilled. The golden pillars of the temple were being devoured by fire. The statues of Nineveh's gods cracked and crumbled, their faces reduced to dust. The sky glowed with the light of flames and lightning. It was a spectacle of divine destruction. He closed his eyes for a moment and murmured something inaudible, then vanished into the shadows, leaving behind a city that would never rise again. Joachim reached a secret passage behind the throne and slipped into a narrow corridor. Sweat dripped down his forehead, mixing with the soot. He tripped but got up, gasping. If he could get out, if he could cross the tunnels, there was still a chance. But when he pushed the door that would lead him to freedom, he found a group of men waiting. For him, he froze. Their eyes were cold, devoid of any loyalty. Among them stood his own treasurer, a man he had believed to be a faithful servant. "Where do you think you're going, my lord?" The man's voice carried a cruel irony. We must flee," Joachim stammered. "We can still rebuild. I am still the king," the treasurer laughed. "King, Nineveh has fallen, Joachim. Your reign is over." The king looked around, feeling trapped. He tried to bargain, to cling to any shred of hope. "I can reward you. I have gold, land, riches." The treasurer stepped forward, drawing a dagger. "Your gold is worthless now. You betrayed your own city. Now it betrays you." Before Joachim could react, a sharp pain pierced his chest. He gasped, blood seeping between his lips, his knees buckled. He looked at his own hands, now stained red. He tried to speak, but no sound came out. As he fell, he heard the temple bells toll one last time, announcing the end of the city he once ruled. The sound was weak, muffled by the roar of the flames and the distant screams. Nineveh's walls collapsed. The judgment was complete. There would be no resurrection, no rebuilding, only ruins and dust carried away by the wind, as if the city had never existed. Elias, still running through the wreckage, paused for a moment and looked back. He saw the towers crumbling, the city's final cries fading into the air. He knew there would be no other dawn for Nineveh. Nahum watched from afar, his robe stained with soot and dust. He did not smile, did not celebrate. He simply turned and walked away. The city had met its fate, and then the dust settled. The fire consumed the last remnants, and great Nineveh, the city that had defied the heavens, became nothing but ashes. The story of Nineveh is not merely an account of destruction, but a timeless warning about the fate of those who ignore justice and righteousness. Nahum's prophecy was fulfilled not because the city was too great, but because it had become too corrupt. Pride and arrogance blinded its leaders. Injustice and cruelty became its foundation, and when the time of judgment arrived, there was no room left for mercy. Nahum's message goes beyond the ruined walls of Nineveh. It echoes in our own lives, in our daily choices, in how we treat others, and in how we handle power and responsibility. History teaches us that no human force, no matter how mighty it may seem, can escape the truth. Justice may appear delayed, but it is always fulfilled. How often do we behave like Nineveh, believing our actions will have no consequences? How many times do we ignore the warnings, persist in error, and seek security in fleeting things? The fall of the city was not just a historical event. It was a lesson on the transience of human glory and the inevitability of divine judgment. As we reflect on this story, we must ask ourselves, are we building our lives on pride and arrogance, like Nineveh? Or are we seeking truth and justice? As Nahum prophesied, arrogance always leads to ruin, but humility and repentance offer a path to hope. May we learn from Nineveh before it is too late. For time passes, empires fall, but the truth and justice of God remain eternal. If you enjoyed this story, 2 other videos of similar biblical stories will appear on your screen. Click to watch them. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave a like. May God be with you.
The Book of Zechariah. Zechariah, chapter 1. In the 8th month of the 2nd year of Darius, the word of the Lord came to the prophet Zechariah, son of Berechiah, the son of Iddo. The Lord was very angry with your ancestors. Therefore tell the people, this is what the Lord Almighty says. Return to me, declares the Lord Almighty, and I will return to you, says the Lord Almighty. Do not be like your ancestors, to whom the earlier prophets proclaimed, this is what the Lord Almighty says. Turn from your evil ways and your evil practices. But they would not listen or pay attention to me, declares the Lord. Where are your ancestors now? And the prophets, do they live forever? But did not my words and my decrees, which I commanded my servants, the prophets, overtake your ancestors? Then they repented and said, the Lord Almighty has done to us what our ways and practices deserve, just as he determined to do. On the 24th day of the 11th month, the month of Shebat, in the 2nd year of Darius, the word of the Lord came to the prophet Zechariah, son of Berechiah, the son of Iddo. During the night, I had a vision. And there before me was a man mounted on a red horse. He was standing among the myrtle trees in a ravine. Behind him were red, brown, and white horses. I asked, "What are these, my lord?" The angel who was talking with me answered, "I will show you what they are." Then the man standing among the myrtle trees explained, "They are the ones the Lord has sent to go throughout the earth." And they reported to the angel of the Lord who was standing among the myrtle trees, "We have gone throughout the earth and found the whole earth at rest and in peace." Then the angel of the Lord said, "Lord Almighty, how long will you withhold mercy from Jerusalem and from the towns of Judah, which you have been angry with these 70 years? So the Lord spoke kind and comforting words to the angel who talked with me. Then the angel who was speaking to me said, "Proclaim this word. This is what the Lord Almighty says. I am very jealous for Jerusalem and Zion, and I am very angry with the nations that feel secure. I was only a little angry, but they went too far with the punishment. Therefore this is what the Lord says. I will return to Jerusalem with mercy, and there my house will be rebuilt, and the measuring line will be stretched out over Jerusalem, declares the Lord Almighty. Proclaim further, this is what the Lord Almighty says. My towns will again overflow with prosperity, and the Lord will again comfort Zion and choose Jerusalem." Then I looked up, and there before me were 4 horns. I asked the angel who was speaking to me, "What are these?" He answered me, "These are the horns that scattered Judah, Israel, and Jerusalem." Then the Lord showed me 4 craftsmen. I asked, "What are these coming to do?" He answered, "These are the horns that scattered Judah, so that no one could raise their head. But the craftsmen have come to terrify them and throw down these horns of the nations, who lifted up their horns against the land of Judah to scatter its people." Zechariah chapter 2. Then I looked up, and there before me was a man with a measuring line in his hand. I asked, "Where are you going?" He answered me, "To measure Jerusalem, to find out how wide and how long it is." While the angel who was speaking to me was leaving, another angel came to meet him and said to him, "Run, tell that young man, Jerusalem will be a city without walls, because of the great number of people and animals in it, and I myself will be a wall of fire around it, declares the Lord, and I will be its glory within. Come, come, flee from the land of the north, declares the Lord, for I have scattered you to the 4 winds of heaven, declares the Lord. Come, Zion, escape you who live in daughter Babylon. For this is what the Lord Almighty says. After the glorious one has sent me against the nations that have plundered you, for whoever touches you touches the apple of his eye, I will surely raise my hand against them, so that their slaves will plunder them. Then you will know that the Lord Almighty has sent me. Shout and be glad, daughter Zion, for I am coming, and I will live among you, declares the Lord. Many nations will be joined with the Lord in that day, and will become my people. I will live among you, and you will know that the Lord Almighty has sent me to you. The Lord will inherit Judah as his portion in the Holy Land, and will again choose Jerusalem. Be still before the Lord, all mankind, because he has roused himself from his holy dwelling. Zechariah chapter 3. Then he showed me Joshua the high priest standing before the angel of the Lord, and Satan standing at his right side to accuse him. The Lord said to Satan, "The Lord rebuke you, Satan. The Lord who has chosen Jerusalem rebuke you. Is not this man a burning stick snatched from the fire?" Now Joshua was dressed in filthy clothes as he stood before the angel. The angel said to those who were standing before him, "Take off his filthy clothes." Then he said to Joshua, "See, I have taken away your sin, and I will put fine garments on you." Then I said, "Put a clean turban on his head." So they put a clean turban on his head and clothed him, while the angel of the Lord stood by. The angel of the Lord gave this charge to Joshua: "This is what the Lord Almighty says. If you will walk in obedience to me and keep my requirements, then you will govern my house and have charge of my courts, and I will give you a place among these standing there. Listen, High Priest Joshua, you and your associates seated before you, who are men symbolic of things to come. I am going to bring my servant, the branch. See the stone I have set in front of Joshua. There are 7 eyes on that one stone, and I will engrave an inscription on it, says the Lord Almighty. And I will remove the sin of this land in a single day. In that day, each of you will invite your neighbor to sit under your vine and fig tree, declares the Lord Almighty." Zechariah chapter 4. Then the angel who talked with me returned and woke me up, like someone awakened from sleep. He asked me, "What do you see?" I answered, "I see a solid gold lampstand, with a bowl at the top and 7 lamps on it, with 7 channels to the lamps. Also there are 2 olive trees by it, one on the right of the bowl, and the other is on its left." I asked the angel who talked with me, "What are these, my lord?" He answered, "Do you not know what these are?" "No, my lord," I replied. So he said to me, "This is the word of the Lord to Zerubbabel. Not by might nor by power, but by my Spirit, says the Lord Almighty." What are you, mighty mountain? Before Zerubbabel, you will become level ground. Then he will bring out the capstone to shouts of, "God bless it, God bless it." Then the word of the Lord came to me. The hands of Zerubbabel have laid the foundation of this temple. His hands will also complete it. Then you will know that the Lord Almighty has sent me to you. Who dares despise the day of small things? Since the 7 eyes of the Lord that range throughout the earth will rejoice when they see the chosen capstone in the hand of Zerubbabel. Then I asked the angel, "What are these 2 olive trees on the right and the left of the lampstand?" Again I asked him, "What are these 2 olive branches, beside the 2 gold pipes that pour out golden oil?" He replied, "Do you not know what these are?" "No, my lord," I said. So he said, "These are the 2 who are anointed to serve the Lord of all the earth." Zechariah chapter 5. I looked again, and there before me was a flying scroll. He asked me, "What do you see?" I answered, "I see a flying scroll, 20 cubits long and 10 cubits wide." And he said to me, "This is the curse that is going out over the whole land. For according to what it says on one side, every thief will be banished, and according to what it says on the other, everyone who swears falsely will be banished. The Lord Almighty declares, I will send it out, and it will enter the house of the thief and the house of anyone who swears falsely by my name. It will remain in that house and destroy it completely, both its timbers and its stones." Then the angel who was speaking to me came forward and said to me, "Look up and see what is appearing." I asked, "What is it?" He replied, "It is a basket." And he added, "This is the iniquity of the people throughout the land." Then the cover of lead was raised, and there in the basket sat a woman. He said, "This is wickedness." And he pushed her back into the basket and pushed its lead cover down on it. Then I looked up, and there before me were 2 women with the wind in their wings. They had wings like those of a stork, and they lifted up the basket between heaven and earth. "Where are they taking the basket?" I asked the angel who was speaking to me. He replied, "To the country of Babylonia to build a house for it. When the house is ready, the basket will be set there in its place. Zechariah chapter 6. I looked up again, and there before me were 4 chariots coming out from between 2 mountains, mountains of bronze. The first chariot had red horses, the second black, the third white, and the fourth dappled, all of them powerful. I asked the angel who was speaking to me, "What are these, my Lord?" The angel answered me, "These are the 4 spirits of heaven, going out from standing in the presence of the Lord of the whole world. The one with the black horses is going towards the north country, the one with the white horses towards the west, and the one with the dappled horses towards the south." When the powerful horses went out, they were straining to go throughout the earth, and he said, "Go throughout the earth." So they went throughout the earth. Then he called to me, "Look, those going towards the north country have given my spirit rest in the land of the north." The word of the Lord came to me, "Take silver and gold from the exiles, Heldai, Tobijah, and Jedaiah, who have arrived from Babylon. Go the same day to the house of Josiah, son of Zephaniah. Take the silver and gold and make a crown, and set it on the head of the high priest, Joshua, son of Jozadak. Tell him this is what the Lord Almighty says. Here is the man whose name is the branch, and he will branch out from his place and build the temple of the Lord. It is he who will build the temple of the Lord, and he will be clothed with majesty and will sit and rule on his throne. And he will be a priest on his throne, and there will be harmony between the two. The crown will be given to Heldai, Tobijah, Jedaiah, and Hen, son of Zephaniah, as a memorial in the temple of the Lord. Those who are far away will come and help to build the temple of the Lord, and you will know that the Lord Almighty has sent me to you. This will happen if you diligently obey the Lord your God." Zechariah chapter 7. In the 4th year of King Darius, the word of the Lord came to Zechariah on the 4th day of the 9th month, the month of Kislev. The people of Bethel had sent Sherezer and Regem-melech, together with their men, to entreat the Lord by asking the priests of the house of the Lord Almighty and the prophets, "Should I mourn and fast in the 5th month, as I have done for so many years?" Then the word of the Lord Almighty came to me, "Ask all the people of the land and the priests, when you fasted and mourned in the 5th and 7th months for the past 70 years, was it really for me that you fasted? And when you were eating and drinking, were you not just feasting for yourselves? Are these not the words the Lord proclaimed through the earlier prophets when Jerusalem and its surrounding towns were at rest and prosperous, and the Negev and the western foothills were settled?" And the word of the Lord came again to Zechariah. "This is what the Lord Almighty said. Administer true justice, show mercy and compassion to one another. Do not oppress the widow or the fatherless, the foreigner or the poor. Do not plot evil against each other." But they refused to pay attention. Stubbornly they turned their backs and covered their ears. They made their hearts as hard as flint and would not listen to the law or to the words that the Lord Almighty had sent by his Spirit through the earlier prophets. So the Lord Almighty was very angry. When I called, they did not listen. So when they called, I would not listen, says the Lord Almighty. I scattered them with a whirlwind among the nations where they were strangers. The land they left behind them was so desolate that no one traveled through it. This is how they made the pleasant land desolate. Zechariah chapter 8. The word of the Lord Almighty came to me. This is what the Lord Almighty says. I am very jealous for Zion. I am burning with jealousy for her. This is what the Lord says. I will return to Zion and dwell in Jerusalem. Then Jerusalem will be called the faithful city, and the mountain of the Lord Almighty will be called the holy mountain. This is what the Lord Almighty says. Once again, men and women of ripe old age will sit in the streets of Jerusalem, each of them with cane in hand because of their age. The city streets will be filled with boys and girls playing there. This is what the Lord Almighty says. It may seem marvelous to the remnant of this people at that time, but will it seem marvelous to me? Declares the Lord Almighty. This is what the Lord Almighty says. I will save my people from the countries of the east and the west. I will bring them back to live in Jerusalem. They will be my people, and I will be faithful and righteous to them as their God. This is what the Lord Almighty says. Now hear these words. Let your hands be strong, so that the temple may be built. This is also what the prophets said who were present when the foundation was laid for the house of the Lord Almighty. Before that time there were no wages for people or hire for animals. No one could go about their business safely because of their enemies, since I had turned everyone against their neighbor. But now I will not deal with the remnant of this people as I did in the past, declares the Lord Almighty. The seed will grow well. The vine will yield its fruit. The ground will produce its crops, and the heavens will drop their dew. I will give all these things as an inheritance to the remnant of this people. Just as you, Judah and Israel, have been a curse among the nations, so I will save you, and you will be a blessing. Do not be afraid, but let your hands be strong. This is what the Lord Almighty says. Just as I had determined to bring disaster on you and showed no pity when your ancestors angered me, says the Lord Almighty, so now I have determined to do good again to Jerusalem and Judah. Do not be afraid. These are the things you are to do. Speak the truth to each other, and render true and sound judgment in your courts. Do not plot evil against each other, and do not love to swear falsely. I hate all this, declares the Lord. The word of the Lord Almighty came to me. This is what the Lord Almighty says. The fasts of the 4th, 5th, 7th, and 10th months will become joyful and glad occasions and happy festivals for Judah. Therefore, love truth and peace. This is what the Lord Almighty says. Many peoples and the inhabitants of many cities will yet come. And the inhabitants of one city will go to another and say, let us go at once to entreat the Lord and seek the Lord Almighty. I myself am going, and many peoples and powerful nations will come to Jerusalem to seek the Lord Almighty and to entreat him. This is what the Lord Almighty says. In those days, 10 people from all languages and nations will take firm hold of one Jew by the hem of his robe and say, let us go with you, because we have heard that God is with you. Zechariah chapter 9. A prophecy. The word of the Lord is against the land of Hadrach, and will come to rest on Damascus. For the eyes of all people and all the tribes of Israel are on the Lord. And on Hamath too, which borders on it, and on Tyre and Sidon, though they are very skillful. Tyre has built herself a stronghold. She has heaped up silver like dust, and gold like the dirt of the streets. But the Lord will take away her possessions and destroy her power on the sea, and she will be consumed by fire. Ashkelon will see it and fear, Gaza will writhe in agony, and Ekron too, for her hope will wither. Gaza will lose her king, and Ashkelon will be deserted. A mongrel people will occupy Ashdod, and I will put an end to the pride of the Philistines. I will take the blood from their mouths, the forbidden food from between their teeth. Those who are left will belong to our God, and become a clan in Judah, and Ekron will be like the Jebusites. But I will encamp at my temple to guard it against marauding forces. Never again will an oppressor overrun my people, for now I am keeping watch. Rejoice greatly, daughter Zion. Shout, daughter Jerusalem. See, your king comes to you, righteous and victorious, lowly, and riding on a donkey, on a colt, the foal of a donkey. I will take away the chariots from Ephraim, and the war horses from Jerusalem, and the battle bow will be broken. He will proclaim peace to the nations. His rule will extend from sea to sea, and from the river to the ends of the earth. As for you, because of the blood of my covenant with you, I will free your prisoners from the waterless pit. Return to your fortress, you prisoners of hope. Even now I announce that I will restore twice as much to you. I will bend Judah as I bend my bow and fill it with Ephraim. I will rouse your sons, Zion, against your sons, Greece, and make you like a warrior's sword. Then the Lord will appear over them. His arrow will flash like lightning. The sovereign Lord will sound the trumpet. He will march in the storms of the south, and the Lord Almighty will shield them. They will destroy and overcome with sling stones. They will drink and roar as with wine. They will be full like a bowl used for sprinkling the corners of the altar. The Lord their God will save his people on that day, as a shepherd saves his flock. They will sparkle in his land like jewels in a crown. How attractive and beautiful they will be. Grain will make the young men thrive, and new wine the young women. Zechariah chapter 10. Ask the Lord for rain in the springtime. It is the Lord who sends the thunderstorms. He gives showers of rain to all people, and plants of the field to everyone. The idle speak deceitfully, diviners see visions that lie. They tell dreams that are false, they give comfort in vain. Therefore the people wander like sheep, oppressed for lack of a shepherd. My anger burns against the shepherds, and I will punish the leaders. For the Lord Almighty will care for his flock, the people of Judah, and make them like a proud horse in battle. From Judah will come the cornerstone, from him the tent peg, from him the battle bow, from him every ruler. Together they will be like warriors in battle, trampling their enemy into the mud of the streets. They will fight because the Lord is with them, and they will put the enemy horsemen to shame. I will strengthen Judah and save the tribes of Joseph. I will restore them because I have compassion on them. They will be as though I had not rejected them, for I am the Lord their God, and I will answer them. The Ephraimites will become like warriors, and their hearts will be glad as with wine. Their children will see it and be joyful. Their hearts will rejoice in the Lord. I will signal for them and gather them in. Surely I will redeem them. They will be as numerous as before. Though I scatter them among the peoples, yet in distant lands they will remember me. They and their children will survive, and they will return. I will bring them back from Egypt and gather them from Assyria. I will bring them to Gilead and Lebanon, and there will not be room enough for them. They will pass through the sea of trouble. The surging sea will be subdued, and all the depths of the Nile will dry up. Assyria's pride will be brought down, and Egypt's scepter will pass away. I will strengthen them in the Lord, and in his name they will live securely, declares the Lord. Zechariah chapter 11. Open your doors, Lebanon, so that fire may devour your cedars. Wail, you juniper, for the cedar has fallen, the stately trees are ruined. Wail, oaks of Bashan, the dense forest has been cut down. Listen to the wail of the shepherds, their rich pastures are destroyed. Listen to the roar of the lions, the lush thicket of the Jordan is ruined. This is what the Lord my God says. Shepherd the flock marked for slaughter. Their buyers slaughter them and go unpunished. Those who sell them say, "Praise the Lord, I am rich." Their own shepherds do not spare them. For I will no longer have pity on the people of the land, declares the Lord. I will give everyone into the hands of their neighbors and their king. They will devastate the land, and I will not rescue anyone from their hands. So I shepherded the flock marked for slaughter, particularly the oppressed of the flock. Then I took 2 staffs and called one Favor and the other Union, and I shepherded the flock. In 1 month I got rid of the 3 shepherds. The flock detested me, and I grew weary of them, and said, I will not be your shepherd. Let the dying die, and the perishing perish. Let those who are left eat one another's flesh. Then I took my staff, called Favor, and broke it, revoking the covenant I had made with all the nations. It was revoked on that day, and so the oppressed of the flock who were watching me knew it was the word of the Lord. I told them, if you think it best, give me my pay, but if not, keep it. So they paid me 30 pieces of silver. And the Lord said to me, throw it to the potter, the handsome price at which they valued me. So I took the 30 pieces of silver and threw them to the potter at the house of the Lord. Then I broke my second staff, called Union, breaking the family bond between Judah and Israel. Then the Lord said to me, take again the equipment of a foolish shepherd, for I am going to raise up a shepherd over the land who will not care for the lost, or seek the young, or heal the injured, or feed the healthy, but will eat the meat of the choice sheep, tearing off their hoofs. Woe to the worthless shepherd who deserts the flock. May the sword strike his arm and his right eye. May his arm be completely withered, his right eye totally blinded. Zechariah chapter 12. A prophecy. The word of the Lord concerning Israel. The Lord who stretches out the heavens, who lays the foundation of the earth, and who forms the human spirit within a person, declares, I am going to make Jerusalem a cup that sends all the surrounding peoples reeling. Judah will be besieged as well as Jerusalem. On that day, when all the nations of the earth are gathered against her, I will make Jerusalem an immovable rock for all the nations. All who try to move it will injure themselves. On that day, I will strike every horse with panic and its rider with madness, declares the Lord. I will keep a watchful eye over Judah, but I will blind all the horses of the nations. Then the clans of Judah will say in their hearts, the people of Jerusalem are strong, because the Lord Almighty is their God. On that day, I will make the clans of Judah like a brazier in a woodpile, like a flaming torch among sheaves. They will consume all the surrounding peoples right and left, but Jerusalem will remain intact in her place. The Lord will save the dwellings of Judah first, so that the honor of the house of David and of Jerusalem's inhabitants may not be greater than that of Judah. On that day, the Lord will shield those who live in Jerusalem, so that the feeblest among them will be like David, and the house of David will be like God, like the angel of the Lord going before them. On that day I will set out to destroy all the nations that attack Jerusalem. And I will pour out on the house of David and the inhabitants of Jerusalem a spirit of grace and supplication. They will look on me, the one they have pierced, and they will mourn for him as one mourns for an only child, and grieve bitterly for him as one grieves for a firstborn son. On that day, the weeping in Jerusalem will be as great as the weeping of Hadad Rimmon in the plain of Megiddo. The land will mourn, each clan by itself, with their wives by themselves. The clan of the house of David and their wives, the clan of the house of Nathan and their wives, the clan of the house of Levi and their wives, the clan of Shimei and their wives. and all the rest of the clans and their wives. Zechariah chapter 13. On that day, a fountain will be opened to the house of David and the inhabitants of Jerusalem, to cleanse them from sin and impurity. On that day, I will banish the names of the idols from the land, and they will be remembered no more, declares the Lord Almighty. I will remove both the prophets and the spirit of impurity from the land. And if anyone still prophesies, their father and mother to whom they were born will say to them, "You must die, because you have told lies in the Lord's name." Then their own parents will stab the one who prophesies. On that day, every prophet will be ashamed of their prophetic vision. They will not put on a prophet's garment of hair in order to deceive. Each will say, "I am not a prophet, I am a farmer. The land has been my livelihood since my youth." If someone asks, "What are these wounds on your body?" they will answer, "The wounds I was given at the house of my friends." Awake, sword, against my shepherd, against the man who is close to me, declares the Lord Almighty. Strike the shepherd, and the sheep will be scattered, and I will turn my hand against the little ones. In the whole land, declares the Lord, 2/3 will be struck down and perish, yet 1/3 will be left in it. The third I will put into the fire. I will refine them like silver and test them like gold. They will call on my name, and I will answer them. I will say, "They are my people," and they will say, "The Lord is our God." Zechariah chapter 14. A day of the Lord is coming, Jerusalem, when your possessions will be plundered and divided up within your very walls. I will gather all the nations to Jerusalem to fight against it. The city will be captured, the houses ransacked, and the women raped. Half of the city will go into exile, but the rest of the people will not be taken from the city. Then the Lord will go out and fight against those nations as he fights on a day of battle. On that day his feet will stand on the Mount of Olives east of Jerusalem, and the Mount of Olives will be split in two from east to west, forming a great valley, with half of the mountain moving north and half moving south. You will flee by my mountain valley, for it will extend to Azel. You will flee as you fled from the earthquake in the days of Uzziah, king of Judah. Then the Lord my God will come, and all the holy ones with him. On that day there will be neither sunlight nor cold, frosty darkness. It will be a unique day, a day known only to the Lord, with no distinction between day and night. When evening comes, there will be light. On that day, living water will flow out from Jerusalem, half of it east to the Dead Sea, and half of it west to the Mediterranean Sea, in summer and in winter. The Lord will be king over the whole earth. On that day there will be one Lord, and his name the only name. The whole land, from Geba to Rimmon, south of Jerusalem, will become like the Arabah. But Jerusalem will be raised up high from the Benjamin gate to the site of the first gate, to the corner gate, and from the tower of Hananel to the royal wine presses, and will remain in its place. It will be inhabited, never again will it be destroyed. Jerusalem will be secure. This is the plague with which the Lord will strike all the nations that fought against Jerusalem. Their flesh will rot while they are standing on their feet, their eyes will rot in their sockets, and their tongues will rot in their mouths. On that day, people will be stricken by the Lord with great panic. They will seize each other by the hand and attack one another. Judah too will fight at Jerusalem. The wealth of all the surrounding nations will be collected, great quantities of gold and silver and clothing. A similar plague will strike the horses and mules, the camels and donkeys, and all the animals in those camps. Then the survivors from all the nations that have attacked Jerusalem will go up year after year to worship the King, the Lord Almighty, and to celebrate the Festival of Tabernacles. If any of the peoples of the earth do not go up to Jerusalem to worship the King, the Lord Almighty, they will have no rain. If the Egyptian people do not go up and take part, they will have no rain. The Lord will bring on them the plague he inflicts on the nations that do not go up to celebrate the Festival of Tabernacles. This will be the punishment of Egypt and the punishment of all the nations that do not go up to celebrate the Festival of Tabernacles. On that day, Holy to the Lord will be inscribed on the bells of the horses, and the cooking pots in the Lord's house will be like sacred bowls in front of the altar. Every pot in Jerusalem and Judah will be holy to the Lord Almighty, and all who come to sacrifice will take some of the pots and cook in them. And on that day there will no longer be a Canaanite in the house of the Lord Almighty.